let me do one thing first. We're doing this Zoom, and we're going to do after the game tomorrow Zoom. The kids get to go home for Christmas. We're trying to mitigate what we can. They've all gotten booster shots. So, and it's just knowing that it's about being a great teammate. Like, there were many of them that didn't want to do it, but they did it for each other. And they did it for their families at home. So we're just going to try to mitigate. Maybe we're going to do this for the next week or two. This week and maybe the following when we get back, unless stuff starts lightening up, and then we'll be fine. And you know how I'd rather be in your company than doing this way.
All right, guys, we'll open up for questions. Daryl Bird, you got the first one.
Yeah, Cal, you were talking the other day about wanting to be at 75, 80 points a game. When you're going against opponents who want to keep it in the 50s, obviously it seems easier to slow the pace. How does the team that wants to get into the 80s, how do they force that issue even though the other team doesn't want to do it?
Well, when I say 75 or 80, it's an efficiency thing. If they're playing a game that makes the game instead of 40 minutes, 32 minutes, all right, let's go 75 and say it's 75% of 75 or 80% of 75. If they're going to shorten the game, I get that. But it's just that if you're a team that's scoring in the 60s, you're going to face somebody who can get 70, even when you play great defense, even when you shorten a game. It's just hard. Now, there are going to be games, we've already had one, where you score 65 points. Well, why did that happen, Daryl?
Not a lot of passing.
How about we went 2 for 19 from the three-point line? You go 2 for 25 from the, stuff like that happens. We'd like to take, even with this team, 20 to 22. Sometimes we take a little less because we have driving opportunities, which we'll take. Sometimes you're playing and taking a little bit more. But, we want to be able to play whether we're making threes or not. The problem is if you're not making threes, you better be defending to keep them in the same area as you are.
Jerry, we'll go to you, and then John Long after that.
John, I wonder, this is the second straight game with a substitute opponent. I'm wondering, with COVID and games being called off and postponed, how confident are you about returning to quote-unquote normal anytime soon?
I don't know what you mean by normal, but here's what I would say. I'm worried, just like I was last year, of mitigating and having every opportunity for our team to play basketball games. I have enough friends that if we have games canceled, that we could fill them in with other games and against good opponents. This was such a quick turn. We did start calling teams Saturday night. So we did, after the game, start calling teams. But you just didn't have the time to, get something together. But, there are a lot of teams that want to play us. They want to say, all right, we'll come to you, but next year you got to come to us. And it becomes a home and home. There's a lot of teams. So I think, if we do this right, and I think there's got to be some, if you have 8 scholarship players and a coach, you must play the game. I mean, there's got to be that. It's not going to be perfect. But, I like the fact that we've had our vaccines, 100%. We've had the booster. And what it means to me is that if someone gets it, it's not gonna, I've got people's children under my care. And that's my first thing I worry about. And I did it last year. Last year was about as much mental health to make sure that, we didn't have any issues there either.
John Long, we'll go to you, then John Hale.
John, other than the tornado relief aspects of this game, which I think we all agree is a huge aspect, it seemed to me you had a lot to lose and not a whole lot to gain by scheduling Western. Do you feel that way? And what went through your mind as you went through that process?
Well, the two things that happened, I first of all said, we got to have, this building sold out. We have to try to get the best team we can get. We can make it about West Kentucky with another, big-time opponent. But as you went through the list, there were none that were willing. And then it became, well, to what level do we do all this? And is there a chance we say we're going to postpone the game and not play anybody? Well, that kind of went out the window right away if we could get a good opponent. And now with Western, the history of their program in our state, the respect they get within our state and even nationally, people still remember Western Kentucky and Coach Diddle and the red towel and all the stuff. I mean, you talk about a top program. And what they're doing now is they got a good team. I mean, they beat Mississippi good. They beat Louisville good. Louisville made some threes to make it close. I mean, this is a team, the leading shot blockers, shooters, they're well coached. Rick does a great job, always has. And you're right. This is a dangerous, I don't want to call it a no-win because it's a win. Playing the game is a win. We're playing basketball. And the other thing that's a win, let's really bring light and honor to West Kentucky and do it in a way where the country's watching. So I don't, someone's got to lose the game unless we can go tie. I'd take a tie. But it's still going to be something special. And I think whoever's in the arena, those people are going to say, wow, this was special. I'm so happy I'm here. And maybe this worked out for the best.
John Hale, go ahead, then Kyle Tucker.
Cal, do you have any hope that Louisville game gets rescheduled at some point this year?
Well, if there's cancellations and there's an opportunity, obviously we'd play it. So, but we just don't know where this is all going.
If that game's not played, do you have a feel yet for where it should be played next year?
Yeah, it should be played here. I mean, didn't we do that in football?
Yes.
So I imagine we could do it in basketball.
Kyle, go ahead.
Now, just about scheduling more in the big picture going forward, the scramble of all this seems to have obviously opened up some conversations with a lot of high-level programs. Gonzaga, Ohio State, Texas were kind of floated out there, others, Wisconsin maybe. Has this process of what happened yesterday and in the couple days leading up to now, made you think about some possibilities going forward for just the regularly scheduled home schedule, bringing an opponent like that to Rupp and also maybe returning? It seemed like that was on the table.
Well, that's look, when I called the people I called, I had to make that available. And I also told them, you understand we don't take this program just to any place on the road. We don't do that. And I'm willing to come to you next year if you'll come to us this year. Now, what else? What was the other fly in the ointment?
TV,
What?
television.
Nah, not really.
Beating North Carolina by 30.
Yes, that was the fly in the ointment. And now I told the guys, you screwed this up. They go, what? You screwed this up. You beat them so good, no one will play us now. They think that's who we are. I sent them tape of Notre Dame. They didn't want to see it.
All right, Darryl, we'll go to you and then back to you, Jerry.
Yeah, John, on your team, I noticed you guys ranked third in the SEC in free throw percentage, but you're next to last in attempts. Is that an issue that has to be improved?
Well, I'm going to tell you, there's two pieces to that. Yes, we do. As you know, we want to make more than the other team shoots. That isn't the case this year. But we're shooting one of the highest percentages of any of my teams. All right, so we've added a shot that I'd never had added before, that floater. And I got every player, including our big guy, shooting it for us, but more for them because it's where the game is going. And so that leads you to stop short of the body contact, which means you're not going to make as many or shoot as many fouls. You're giving up something and gain. The other reason, I'm trying to think, like, do I really mind it? Like, things happen and you have to think them through. If there's not free throws or a lot of them, what happens with that, Daryl? What's the game look like?
It's a lot faster. It's a lot
Woo! It doesn't stop. Some of you had no idea what I was talking about, but that's okay. The game doesn't stop, and it keeps going. And so that ain't no bad. So we'll just have to gauge it. I'd like to get more free throws, but I like the high percentage we're shooting.
Jerry and then John Clay.
John, on the radio show, you mentioned the 7'5" guy that Western has. How
He's 7'5" too, Jerry. He's not. We'll say he's 7'5". No, he's 7'5", leading the nation in block shots.
So what sort of a presence does he have on the court? What sort of, I guess you don't want to give away what kind of alterations that might mean, but how impactful could he be?
No, let me tell you, the games I watched, he's like Casper. He's like the ghost that's in there when you start driving. He's in there. And, they have a terrific team. This is going to be a hard game for us to win. I don't care that we're at home. They got a 7'5" guy, and they got two guys that can really shoot the ball, and they got their leading scorer who's an attack dog. And so when you watch them, you're like, wow, they run good stuff. And let me say this. The guy that stirs the drink is their point guard. He might be the most effective player and in controlling the game and scoring baskets. I mean, I've gotten now to watch tape. And again, if you want to know about Ohio State, you ask me. I got all that I need to know. How about Louisville? Oh, yeah, I watched about 5 tapes of theirs. I can tell you about Louisville. I'm just now catching up with Western. But when I'm watching it, I'm like, we're just going to have to play well. You can't come into this game and not play well, or you'll lose.
John Clay, go ahead.
John Kellen Grady's game on Saturday. You feel like he was more aggressive or was just getting shots from the floor of the game? How did you think he played?
We've been working really hard on all these guards of not catching the ball, dropping it, and then trying to shoot it. That's high school. We've been working on catch. Wherever you catch it, you shoot it from there. If I catch it here, I shoot it from there. I catch it here, it goes from there, I shoot it. So if you watch the tape of his shots, he got them off, which means they're clean shots. Now, you have to practice that way. And we had a couple guys practicing all of our shooting drills like they were playing horse. So now they can't get them off. Now, Kellen, I took him out in one part of that game because he passed up on 2 shots. You're out. You're not playing. Sit down. I need somebody that will get shots up and do it in a confident way. If you're not confident, you sit. Now, so what it says is, why'd he take you out? And you got to respond, because I didn't shoot it. What are you talking about? He took you out. He doesn't take that. He takes you out, not that. No, he took me out because I passed on 2 shots. That's why you got subbed. Why wouldn't you shoot the ball? It's not as easy as you think. And so I'm trying to make it so I don't want to hear I come out every time I make a mistake. That's not true. You say it. It's a great line. Man, every time you make. And that's again, around, that's what they'll say. But I had a guy sitting next to me in Vegas that said, do you know how many times you yelled at guys to shoot the ball today? 100. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they know if they don't, and they walk or charge or step out of bounds in the corner, they're coming out. And then, mistake, you're not shooting the ball. There's a reason you're open. Shoot the ball.
Guys, we got time for one or maybe two more, so we get the players in here. John, I don't think you've had a second question, so we'll go to you.
Now, when you watched that North Carolina game back, for those of us who don't understand basketball, how much was North Carolina trying to do the same things Notre Dame did against Xavier, and he countered them, or were they playing him differently than?
The biggest thing that happened in the game is we passed the ball, and no one was catching it and holding it. So the ball moved, which meant the court was open for him to do what he does. That was the difference. Against Notre Dame, everybody was going to make the play because they got the phone calls and you got to do it. And now all of a sudden you caught it, and I call it you ripped to your hip because I have to make the play. Versus catch it, swing it, swing it. He attacks to me, to him. I got 3-4 calls on how we passed the ball to each other. Now, part of that is we spent 3 days really driving it. And, again, if you're a guy that keeps holding the ball, you can't be in. You can't be in. Move that ball. Again, guys are getting better. I think they did some of the same stuff, or at least had planned on it, including what they did in their press attack. So you knew they watched the tape. But the other thing that happened, we made a couple shots. Like, you don't have to make them all.
Don't miss them all.
Yeah, all of them. You can't miss them all. And now all of a sudden it becomes contagious. You make one, the next guy, all of a sudden there's a gap. You're up 16 versus the whole game is 4 or 5 points because every time you're wide open, you're missing badly. And so that was a big piece of it. By us making shots, what did it do to their defense? They got to go out here now. Well, if you don't make shots, they're saying let him shoot. If he shoots, he plays for us. You want that on the scouting report if you're a player? So I'm proud of these guys, how they came back, because they imposed their will, and that's what we've done here. They had a swagger. That's who we are here. But now you have to verify it by doing it again. That's how you verify. I like the bounce back from Notre Dame. I like what I saw. I like this team. I thought they would trap Oscar, and they really didn't. So that showed respect of other guys. It'll be interesting to see what Western does. Part of the thing is, great game for us because we're going against the zone. And you guys know that I say, I don't mind playing zone because it makes you do what? Pass the ball. It makes you pass the ball. I didn't have to yell pass. So what are you going to hold it, let him zone? Hold it, let him set. Hold it, let him set. That ball got to move and bounce and in and skip and over. Drive, find somebody. I love it. So we're going to play zone. They play 2-3. They play some 1-3-1. Try to keep the big kid near the basket. Smart move. But again, for us, it's what we need to face right now.